Once upon a time, in a quiet forest, there lived a fox known for being very cunning and mischievous. This fox had a habit of being nice to other animals, speaking sweetly to gain their trust, only to play tricks on them later. One day, the fox met a stork. The stork was tall and had a long, slender beak. The fox, pretending to be friendly, started chatting with the stork, and soon they became friends. To show his new friendship, the fox invited the stork over for dinner. "Please come to my house tomorrow," said the fox. "I will prepare a delicious feast just for you." The stork was pleased and happily accepted the invitation. The next day, the stork arrived at the fox's house, eager to enjoy the promised feast. However, when the fox came out of the kitchen, he was carrying a shallow bowl filled with soup. The stork was confused and a bit disappointed, but decided to be polite and see what would happen. The fox set the shallow bowl in front of the stork and began to drink the soup, lapping it up easily with his tongue. But the poor stork, with her long, thin beak, found it impossible to drink the soup from the shallow bowl. She could only wet the tip of her beak without getting any of the soup. Watching the stork struggle, the fox asked slyly, "How do you like the soup? Isn't it delicious?" The fox knew very well that the stork couldn't eat the soup, but he enjoyed seeing her struggle. The stork, understanding that the fox was playing a trick on her, didn't show her disappointment. She replied calmly, "Oh, the soup is quite nice, but my stomach is a bit upset today, so I can't have much." She took only a tiny sip and put the bowl aside. The fox grinned, pleased with his trick, but the stork wasn't angry. Instead, she decided to teach the fox a lesson. Before leaving, she said kindly, "Thank you for the soup, my friend. It was very thoughtful of you. Why don't you come to my house tomorrow for dinner? I'd love to return the favor." The fox, thinking he might get more fun out of this, agreed to visit the stork's house the next day. When the day came, the fox went to the stork's house. He was looking forward to seeing what the stork would serve him. After they exchanged greetings, the stork led him to the dining table where she had prepared a delicious soup. But this time, the soup was served in tall, narrow jars with long necks. The stork, with her long beak, easily dipped into the jar and started sipping the soup happily. But the fox was in trouble. He tried to put his snout into the jar, but it was too narrow. He could smell the wonderful aroma of the soup, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't reach it. Watching the fox struggle, the stork asked politely, "Is the soup to your liking, dear friend? I made it especially for you." The fox felt embarrassed and ashamed. He now understood how the stork must have felt the previous day at his house. Realizing his mistake, he muttered, "I think I should go now. My stomach suddenly feels upset." With that, he quickly left the stork's house, his head hanging low in shame. From that day on, the fox learned his lesson. He understood that playing tricks on others can sometimes come back to you. And as for the stork, she went back to her peaceful life, knowing she had taught the fox an important lesson. Moral: one bad turn begets another. Always treat others how you would like to be treated.